it's honestly, you know, mixed feelings is something I say a lot when I watch a lot of the GPL games because champions just don't seem to have consistent showing. It really depends on who's playing what. Sion would actually be very nice, a big, huge meat shield for the team.
Oh wow!
But, ooh,
Changing things up
Irelia.
to- Yeah, changing things up to the carry jungler and.
Very interesting.
Okay, so Lloyd did not lock in the champion, so did get the Thresh coming in. Yeah, I thought as much. There's probably a lag, a little bit of lag on Lloyd's side to
It's quite strange.
sort of trigger that one out. I was thinking, you know, the countdown timer is coming to an end and
Yeah.
it's not locked in anything yet. And usually when that happens, it's just a little bit of DC. So
That's right.
yeah, we'll get that up as quickly as possible. But it gives us some time to actually analyze some of the pick that have come underway. And the thing about the Silver and Janna lane, and previously in day number 1, if you were watching the show, we did run through some of the infographics that came around for us.
Yes.
One of the most powerful lanes that we, or rather one of the most common dual lane bottoms that we see. One of it is, I believe, Tristana and Janna, and Graves and Leona being one of the other one.
Yeah.
And slowly and steadily, we're starting to see this combination that's coming into play, which is the Janna and Silver lane. I guess with the changes coming in, it kind of makes a lot of sense. Because when you pop on the hunt for Janna, and let's say if you're Silver in that case, and you're chasing after your support, you get that immense burst of movement speed.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So it's kind of like this, you know, I support you, you support me sort of a thing. And Silver is also one of the champions to have come into play with the recent few patches, seeing a lot of AD carries die down. One of those is definitely Lucian. We haven't seen Lucian in a long, long time in competitive play. And even Kalista as well. So she's sort of slowly but mysteriously disappeared from the scene.
Sure.
Yeah, so I think Silver is definitely up there in terms of the power ranking, so just to have that is just fantastic for you. And then on the hunt, just brings so much to the table in terms of utility. It can be, fits into pretty much any composition. Even if you're in a composition where you're looking to siege or to just to poke that movement speed, it's just going to be fantastic for you.
Yeah, and I have a feeling that, you know, looking a little bit deeper into that relationship between Janna and Sivers, with the Janna nerfs, you know, your team no longer has access to dependable movement speed.
Yeah.
So when you want to disengage in the past with Janna, just due to the fact that it was a static bonus, basically you get the bonus whenever you want. But now it's like, we have to be facing Janna, you know, and to get that movement speed. And Sivir actually fills in that gap where it's like in the oh crap moment. Like I really I need movement speed right now, bro.
Say now.
That's
Not tomorrow. Now.
I ordered my McDonald's meal now. You know, why is it here now? Terrible analogy because obviously it's not like that. But you get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
The changes means that Janna speed isn't readily available to you. If you have Sivir, you can immediately activate that panic button. And it just allows your whole team to kind of reorganize themselves, reposition, say, this is how we want to approach the fight, or just completely back off. So yeah, you're right. And, you know, it's not going to be the Sion that I thought would do a good job, you know, soaking up a lot of the crowd control and pick potential coming out, especially with the Leona now. My goodness, coming out from Hanoi for Lewis. But the passive aura of Irelia will do some of that. And it does actually give BKT a bit of catch potential of themselves, right? If anybody gets knocked up, a Charm, Equilibrium Strike, that's so much true damage that will be coming in from both Ari as well as Irelia. That person's probably going to be dead.
Yeah, that's right. And I just want to quickly point out to our viewers as well, if you look at the Hanoi Fuller's lineup right here tonight, they do have a bit of a shuffle here.
Yeah, this is...
Yeah, I believe it should be... Wait, hold on. Is that is that a Maokai in the mid lane?
They have 15 seconds, so they could just be trolling.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's counting down, man.
Yeah. I don't mind watching a Maokai in the mid lane. That's going to be interesting. Yeah, but with SOFM, you know, coming back to the roster, we will have some changes here.
It's
King
going to
of
be
War
Maokai.
previously was in the jungle, and Sheen, of course, was in the top. Sorry, Violet, of course, was in the top lane, and Sheen was down the bottom lane together with Starfall, and you know, it's a big swap around with the roster, and we'll see how this one works out. Because if you look at the game on Wednesday, wasn't at all impressive, and maybe this is the mix-up that they need in order to move on in group stage 2. So of course right now we finally got the technical difficulties fixed, so we will be playing live. The good thing is that you get to get your in-game sounds again, but we don't get to see the player cams, so a bit of a pity there. One day I believe we'll get those for the Garena Pro release.
That's right.
Yeah. Before we jump into the game, of course, we are going to show you a very nicely compiled highlight reel of the team. This time we're going to be showing you Bangkok Titans right here, and some of their recent performance so far. To have a pretty nice clip. Of course, all this are past Group Stage 1 as well. One of the most impressive showings that we have seen from the Bangkok Titans ever since the induction in the GPL itself.
Yeah, I mean, we can see from this clip, a lot of it is really just Lloyd going extremely crazy. G4 as well, two of the highlight reel players, if you will. Warlock himself performing very, very well. I mean, there are many, many numbers that are going to be flying into your face, but overall, I think that when you look at BKT play, Lloyd stands out as being very, very consistent, often, you know, flashing in for kills, being very, very aggressive. And G4, if he gets an assassin champion, he just looks absolutely insane.
Yeah, that's right. And Warlock, this time around, being the key player, being dubbed for Bangkok Titans, of course. And you know, he's one of those guys that have stepped up so much for the Bangkok Titans ever since his introduction to the roster itself. And I guess you're right to say, you know, Lloyd is also one of the other key guys to watch out for. And I guess the mark of him joining the roster was the huge, you know, Thai revolution for Bangkok Titans. First it was Lloyd. They said, all right, you know, this guy, he plays really well, and you know, he can hold his ground in the bottom lane. And then they introduced G4, who kind of struggled a bit in the start when he first joined the roster, but subsequently he adopted his play style, and then you know, he got his synergy going together with double 7X, and then finally they introduced Warlock. So right now this roster has been polished and refined so many times for Bangkok Titans, and they just look very, very what's the word? Entertaining to look at sometimes when they do get the game rolling. If you don't know, go watch the game when they took on Unfought Ultimate in game number 2.
Yes.
After a grueling game number 1.
Watch game 1 too, because it puts things into perspective.
Correct. So in game number 1, of course, that just happened a couple of days ago. Yeah. They pretty much got taken out in game number 1. Then they pulled their socks together. They delivered a fantastic game.
Yeah, I'd say they put their socks together, they put their vest on, their helmet, you know, they got fired up, man. And they're like, this is outrageous! How did we lose? And then they went absolutely mad against Unfought Ultimate. Those two games, I mean, watching them together just gives you a perspective of actually both teams, just how hungry for victory they really are. And BKT, I think, like you pointed out, one thing that we are, you know, very, very happy to see as casters. I mean, obviously we have no say as to how their team is managed, but they're finally sticking together. And this is actually a problem that plagues many a GPL team, right? They see mediocre results, and then for whatever reason, the management seems to be a little bit shaken. I mean, all credit, they know their players best, so it's up to them to swap them in or out. But I think there's an argument to be made that sometimes you just need to give the players time to stick together. Yeah. BKT is a sign of that working well.
Yeah, I've always been a fan of teams, you know, sticking together for extended periods of time. And even though right now in the grand scheme of things for League of Legends competitive scene, it's quite common to see, you know, players come and go, and teams actually switching up their starting rosters and stuff like that. And it's kind of like you know, any other competitive sport right there. If you're not doing well, you're out. You know, I'm gonna get a better guy to come in. But sometimes I'm personally am a big fan of, you know, just players sticking together. Look at Cloud9, for example. So even though in the current split they're not doing that well, but you know, they're still duking it out together. And this is a perfect sight to see, you know, just all this teamwork and even friendship being built in competitive scene.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I mean, when you're talking about, you know, maybe larger sports where you have like maybe teams of 16 or, you know, well, benches full of, you know, 11 players. I mean, here it's you know, it's a group of five guys, maybe a sub or two, and the relationships are a lot closer. And I think a lot of times there's just things you don't want to go over and over again with a new guy, right? There's conversations you've had, there's things that you've just settled down as a team of 5, and there's a lot of value in just sticking to thick and thin, I think. And League of Legends, competitively, it's proving that point. So we'll see now, can BKT show up strong against this Hanoi Lewis squad, who themselves are fielding some new/old, I don't even know what to say, just members mixed up a little bit, you could say. And we'll have to see, because Hanoi Full Lewis, well, they have picked an aggressive competition, to say the least.
Yeah, that's right. And of course, friendships aside, all is fair in love and war, as they say. This is going to be a very important matchup, especially for Hanoi Full Lewis here, because they did not do all so well in that very last matchup against Zotac 269, dropping 2 in a row.
Yeah, surprising.
And it is indeed going to be that Maokai in the mid lane. So going up against the ravishing assassin Ari, of course. Let's see how that one's going to work out. Very curious as well as to see how this one is going to be.
Yeah, I've never actually seen a Maokai Ari matchup, you know. I mean, that's one of the values of playing solo queue. Every now and then I dip back in to endure the
watch.
trolls and frustration to see what runs through the minds of, you know, people trying to game the laning system. But I've never seen anything quite like this. I have not seen Maokai against Ari.
Well, let's be honest here. You know, in the GPL, it's you know, sometimes we do see some funny things that actually do work out quite well. Like
We see many funny things, Chris.
you know, back then we do see, you know, I think the one that a lot of people will remember is the Urgot support or the Malphite support.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and even the Gragas top lane when it was first introduced, it's like, is this for real?
That was
and
great.
now we have the Hackerim top, so don't think there's really room to complain about a Maokai mid. So, you know, coming back into the game itself, we do see a lane swap coming into place here. It seems like BKT has taken the first preemptive movement to, in fact, try to help a Warlock snowball a little bit against a King of War in this situation. Does not want to have that disadvantageous matchup of the melee versus range right here. That's going to give some room for Hanoi Fulus to work with, though. It is a 5-man group up at the Dragon here. I believe this will be a contest for the GPL records for the earliest Dragon being done here.
Woo! Nice moves by Hanoi Fulus. They have the strong side with the dual bottom. BKT were the ones to initiate the lane swap, however, so they should be expecting this. I don't think they'll be all too phased by the first dragon being taken. They'll get the timer on it as they see the visual indicator on Shin.
Yep.
And I wonder then, what is the plan for the double jungle of BKT? They haven't been able to hit a lane yet due to the fact that all the Hanoi Fulus members actually went to the bottom side of the map. Neither are they pushing a lane, so it seems like they're just going for the jungle clear at the moment.
Yeah, and I'm just quite surprised that Valen has decided to move into the mid lane here, because he's just actually essentially sitting around doing nothing. What could possibly happen is, you know, you can send Warlock back into lane and just let you know, Valen babysit him for a bit, but that's not happening right here. So Warlock's not catching up on anything. And speaking about catching, they have caught up with G4 in the mid lane, and he has to blow his flash off of that. 4-man stack up into the mid lane, very aggressive. All of these members are like level 2s and level 3s right here, but
hey, I have my dash and my chain.
Good enough.
That's all I need.
Yeah.
But Valen being there actually was the correct preemptive. Oh wow, this is painful to watch.
Yeah.
2 of the BKT members just sitting on the ward, but Valen actually made the correct preemptive move, saying, you know, if the dragon's taken and G-Force ward, I'm not sure if his trinket was on cooldown, whatever it was, saying there's a chance that the 4 members or even 5 members, you know, if they're really, really crazy, of Hanoi Fulus might try and collapse on the mid lane. One Howling Gale would have been enough to disengage that. G4 in the end actually just a bit of a sad timing. Valen wandered off from the lane. That's exactly when the Hanoi Fulus members came. Had to burn his flash. So he still survives, but Valen's time was indeed wasted. Just as well as 007X's and Warlock's time was wasted by sitting on that ward.
Yeah, so a lot of time wasted on the Titan's end here. And I have to say, you know, that there is a particular term that I was watching some of the Chinese casters for whichever scene it is.
Yeah.
They have a term, they coined the term for it, it's called acting. They call it the acting skills. The acting skills for Shin was just perfect in that one. They know for full knowledge of the fact that, you know, 77X as well as Warlock was just sitting in the brush, but they just pretended that, oh, you know what, I'm just pretending to play safe.
It's like,
yeah, so
what 2 members in the brush?
Yeah. So
who's there? Nobody's there.
So, you know, just wasting a lot of time from both Warlock and 77X. And right now it's going to be King of War coming back into lane. The Starfall, of course, so going to soak up a bit of the experience. And it's crippling Warlock a fair bit, to say the least. And that's going to be a problem later on, because Irelia, while you want her to stay relevant, you need to really give her some experience. And if not, she's just going to be a huge meat bait at the end of the day.
Yeah, I wonder how prepared exactly BKT was for this possibility of not only, well, LeBlanc against Irelia, honestly, I want to say that if Warlock had the confidence, he could play into that matchup. BKT instead choose to initiate the lane swap.
Oh, what a deep dive down onto 77X, past the second tier turret as well. And a bit of a scare there, but 77X is going to be able to walk out of there alive. And I think this is one of those games where we have seen the laners just move around more than they have seen the lane itself. So,
yep, it's the double, triple, quadra jungle meta. That's what's going on. Hanoi Fulus honestly coming out ahead in terms of awkwardly, you know, the awkward situation of BKT initiating the lane swap. But they've gotten the first dragon, of course, very, very early. not, unexpected. What is unexpected is the CS difference, between Warlock as well as King of War. I mean, yes, it's only 10 CS, but when those two go back to lane, CS lead, experience lead, we'll have to see though. Oh, Warlock.
Warlock getting caught out here, has to blow his flesh as well. A lot of summer spells, just one after the other, being popped on the side of Hanoi Full Lewis, and they are going to dive in deep onto this one as well. They will take out the ward around the Grom camp, no, the Croc camp area, sorry.
I have to wonder, what exactly was BKT's plan with the lane swap? They haven't actually done anything with it. Maybe they were trying to catch Shin out in the mid lane, when they were sitting on top of that ward. Balin was actually ready to support them. But then again, it's a mid lane Maokai, rather tanky. He has his flash up. He's not actually going to be taken down. Neither are they fast push. Well, okay, they are actually matching the push finally. But look at that. They're only now starting on the push. So it's going to be very, very slow. And Hanoi Full Lewis are going to be able to crash this huge minion wave onto the tier 2, as well as probably taking down a good amount of health. I mean, Janna... that doesn't count as wave clear, honey. And
the one thing about having this lane swap situation as well is that unknowingly you are accelerating the laning phase when you take down those turrets. And what the best way, what better way there is to control this Irelia than to accelerate the laning phase itself. But this might be Bangkok Titans actually taking one more objective as compared to Hanoi Full Lewis, because they did spend a little bit too much time down the bottom lane, and that gave so much room for Lloyd and Double 7X to work with. Right now the top lane turret is down to about less than 10% of its HP itself, and Hanoi Full Lewis are not doing much to actually stop this one. They do send King of War back up to this lane here. But I think with a couple more other attacks, they should be able to take it. But BKT chooses to back off of that, though, because I think they know for a fact that Dragon is coming back around, and this might be the one that they want to challenge. You cannot afford to give 2 Dragons in a row in under 10 minutes.
Yeah, that would be a huge, huge leg up in terms of the Dragon game for Hanoi Full Lewis. To their credit, like you said, BKT able to move towards the tier 2 and get some damage, or actually a large amount of damage done onto it. But, this is the thing about the lane swap game, that I think this game is actually a very good example of where it's all about tempo, actually, right? It's about how fast you can set a pace and whether or not the enemy team is ready to match it. But you yourself, if the enemy is able to match it, you've got to be able to, accelerate it, or you've got to be able to throw in another wrench, something, a new gambit. So when they went for the tier 2 up there, really, really slow, I would have liked to see the Hanoi Full Lewis members swing back after getting the red buff to say, there's still 2 members top. Maybe they'll get, they've already gotten the tier 2 so low. It's really only a matter of time before they get it down. We should at least answer with a good amount of damage, onto their tier 2. So we can see that while BKT, initiating the lane swap, it seems like they've come out behind. Hanoi Full Lewis themselves, not quite fully on point, or not quite fully ready to push the tempo as hard as, you could argue it should have been.
Yeah, that's right. And on the solo lanes itself, for the mid lane at least, Bangkok Titans still winning out in terms of experience, just because Shin did move around the map a little bit more as compared to before. And a lot as well, with that amount of free time that he had up in the top lane to push to the second tier turret, he did get more minions out of that, and he did get a bit of more experience as compared to Violet. So a bit ahead in terms of the experience curve itself, but not that big of a deal here. And what I would have actually preferred them to do in terms of the lane swap itself, since they saw the Maokai in the mid lane, why not just swap Irelia into the mid lane?
Swap it back around.
Yeah, swap it back around. You will have the solo laners going up against each other, and you wouldn't have that big of a woo-ha shenanigans whatsoever.
That's right. So Dragon has been live for quite a while now. BKT, of course, not having vision of the first, could have kept track of the timer by the visual indicator of Shin walking back into the mid lane after that. But let's see, Warlock has gotten a good amount of time to finally catch up in CS to King of War. But this is a nice move by Hanoi Full Lewis. They are fully aware of the Dragon timer. They say, nope, we don't care too much about that. If you're going to swing in towards the area, we're going to get positioning onto the tier 1. I don't think they have the damage or the minion wave just yet to take it down. There's the wave clear coming out from G4. And I do have to say, though, in terms of allocating their champions, their resources across the map, Hanoi Full Lewis seem to be just doing that little bit better, right? They're gonna, again, have a lot of wasted experience in the top side. Whole minion, entire minion wave crashing on the top. A lot of auto attack damage will be coming out from King of War to lower that. Whereas you can see Warlock himself, yes, he was able to push up the bottom tier 1 and get that, but he needs to push out the top side and then be ready with his TP because King of War is already moving to join his team.
Yeah, and the one true victim of all this lane swap mechanics that has happened previously, you know, now he's level 4, but previously Velen was level 3, matched up to, back then Shin was level 8. Could you imagine back then if there was a team fight breaking out, a level 3 Janna up against a level 8 Maokai? That was how disastrous it could be. And here comes the Grand Skyfall on the back at SFM. Gonna jump onto double 7x, a bit of damage. Landed down onto him as well. He's gonna flash out of the way. G4 looks like he's going down. That's gonna be first blood going over to Sheen. And right now the focus is on double 7x. Fantastic solo flare from Starfall, landing the double kill for his AD carry right here. And that's the triple going over to Hanoi for Lewis as well. And the game has opened wide open.
That was absolutely insane teamfighting coming out from Hanoi for Lewis. Huge props have to be given to Starfall right there for an absolutely on point solar flare. I mean, the patience he had to say, Maokai's already going to lock down, you know, Ahri. You know, quite fortunate actually to explode her for the first blood. And then when the retreat, you know, the full swung retreat happens, he says, alright, this is where I'm going to lock them down and make sure they absolutely can't escape. Fantastic play coming out from Hanoi for Lewis. Love to see them bringing out this very aggressive composition and just tearing apart BKT.
Yeah, that's right, and that was the kind of play that Hanoi for Lewis does need, and Shin getting jumped on by double 7x and Warlock right now. It's 3 members on his tail right here, but being the big mega 3 that he is, he's going to use that. Yeah, going to use that ultimate to walk out of that alive.
Alright, and you know, this Maokai pick really doing work for Hanoi for Lewis in that team fight, right? We saw the moment Ahri used 1 charge, she actually was locked down immediately from Shin's Maokai, just not allowing her to even get a second charge off. And look at the amount of wards that Hanoi for Lewis have picked up as well. Answered almost in kind pretty much by the pink wards that BKT have picked up. So after one explosive team fight, it looks like both of these teams going back to the basics, saying we need to make sure we have vision so that we can pick the fights we want.
That's right, and I just want to quickly point out that Violet has finished up that Trinity Force as well at the 14-minute mark. That's pretty insane for the mid-game power spike coming through from Hanoi for Lewis. And Flavors, I might have just realized today the irony that is Starfall playing Leona.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. Do you really see it? You want to explain to the viewers?
Well, because it's Starfall, but she's all about the sun.
So you gotta think in terms of the ultimate.
Solar
Flare and Starfall.
Oh god.
I might have just realized that.
Sacrificing her soul. I don't know, man. She's that self-sacrificial kind, you know.
Yeah. Well, I have to say though, in that last team fight, that was pretty on point. Like
that was
mentioned.
super on point. You know, right on top of 3 members, searing them to the soul. But you know, that's the great thing about what the Hanoi for Lewis team comp has. There's just a massive amount of lockdown as we see.
Now Grand Skyfall on the top lane, gonna jump onto Warlock here. Violet, it's
so much damage.
So much damage, of course, with the Phosphorus Ball. Violet is now on a rampage, 4-0-1. Picks that one up nice and easy. Gonna zero in onto the top lane turret as well. Starfall is gonna join both his jungler and the AD carry to break the structures as quickly as possible.
Alright, the game's not done yet, Chris, but I just have to throw this question out there.
Yeah.
What is going on in the GPL split number 2, or group stage number 2?
Hold that thought now. Right now, they're gonna engage down to double 7x. Gonna try to catch it out once again. The monster is finally out, but Shin brings him down with the ultimate. Quite a bit of burst damage there. And Violet gonna get chopped down so low. Gets the shutdown. Lloyd's gonna follow through with that one, and they are gonna chase down onto Shin as well. Here comes the roots coming through by King of War, picks the kill onto G4 on the back end. Double kill now for Lloyd, as he is going to try to chunk him down. Triple kill, in fact, a 3-for-3 exchange on the side of Bangkok Titans. Pretty good stuff there for BKT,
nice.
Getting the Boomerang Blade down as well to chunk King of War off of the second tier turret. And that was, I believe, a desperate measure that BKT really needed, and they got it off as well.
Yeah, a little bit of sloppy positioning coming out from Violet, getting hit by the Charm, just lined everything up. The Orb of Deception, the Boomerang Blade, taken down by the Ignite Tick, so, you know, a little bit sloppy by Violet right there. But overall, yes, my question, what is going on in group stage number 2 for the GPL? Some of the...
I don't know, man, I love it.
Yeah, it's good, right? Because we said, you know, with the bottom 8 teams gone, we expect the competition to be closer, but, you know, I wasn't expecting kind of this level of FaZe getting smashed, right?
Well,
BKT, honestly, we called them the team that likes the team fight, but the very first team fight that breaks out, just fully in Hanoi Full Lewis's favor. And if Violet hadn't been caught by that Charm, you could see how well Hanoi Full Lewis actually turned around Shin's engage or re-engage. And
I'm just gonna remind you the same thing that I'm gonna remind the viewers right now. You are watching Hanoi Full Lewis.
They go Full Lewis, baby.
That's right. On Wednesday, you know, if you missed out the broadcast, I was talking to Lewis, and in fact, both of us were talking about Full Lewis over as a team. Sometimes they do the most tactical plays, but sometimes they do the most reckless plays as well. So
that's right.
For the first 15 minutes, it was Full Lewis on the good side, and then when they dove under the turret and gave 3 kills away to Bangkok Titans, that was the bad side. You know?
Oh goodness! But look at this. G4 almost gets caught out. Double distortion from King of War will be backing away immediately. But that is G4 removed from the fight. Should mean a decently easy push onto the mid tier 1, or perhaps just the dive. You called it.
There we go. Grand Skyfall. They are going to focus down to double 7X. Solar Flare. Not that efficient this time around. Warlock going to pick up the kill onto FM. The double kill as well. Cataclysm is going to come on through. Double 7X. Gonna lock so many members down. EQ combo lands once again. Violet picks up the kill onto double 7X. Lloyd still staying alive in this one though. He is gonna pack up one more kill. And a double kill once again. What is going on? It is a 4-for-2 trade this time around.
Now do you see how apt my question is, Chris? What is going on? I think you got one piece of the puzzle, which is why dive? Why dive?
Not necessary whatsoever on the side of Hanoi Full Lewis. But Bangkok Titans come back around, and very heroic of double 7X that he knew for a fact that he was not going to survive after that fight. Going to drop that Cataclysm to lock multiple members down on the side of Hanoi Full Lewis so that his teammates can follow up through of that. And they took the top lane turret down for themselves as well, looking to capitalize off of that, going for the objective game here. Gonna zero in onto the Dragon here, and right now it's gonna be G4 buying some time. We do see the TP coming around on the back end. Shin taking a bit of damage from the rest of the team. He might just go down off of this one. Double 7X picks up the kill on the back end. King of War though, zeroing out Valen. The poor support just being the bait of war here, as right now Hanoi Full is gonna look to chase the rest of the team. This time Starford does not land the Solar Flare though.
Alright, tense moment as BKT don't look like they want to give up this dragon just yet. But the question, what is going on, is so apt. You know, they had the dragon low, they were zoning, SOFM, but they didn't collapse on it. Rather, they collapsed on just one or two. In fact, they collapsed on Shin, who's the tankiest member of the team, right? Honestly, BKT just look a little bit sloppy in this game, and thankfully for them, you know, Hanoi Full Lewis themselves are not, you know, totally on point. We saw a little bit, you know, kind of foreshadowings of that when they weren't totally on point with the lane swap game themselves. But honestly, BKT have gotten a bit of a breathing room now that they've capitalized on 2 very, very over-aggressive dives coming out from Hanoi Full Lewis. Actually jumping ahead in terms of the tower game, not so much the dragon game, but 4 towers to 2 means that they are ahead in terms of those objectives. And Hanoi Full Lewis might need to be careful to not go too much in the Full Lewis direction too many times again, right? They got to be careful.
Yeah, but Bangkok Titans are not out of trouble as of yet.
Yeah.
If you look at it, look at Warlock's CSs compared to King of War, it's half the amount. And if you look at Lloyd compared to Violet, previously he was down in terms of kills, now he has caught up to that, but there's still a 50 CS lead. So combining both the top laners as well as the AD carry, it's a 100 CS differential between Full Lewis as well as Bangkok Titans.
I have never seen an Irelia enter a 21-minute phase of the game and only be sitting at 50. It's almost poetic how it's sitting directly at 50. Messes it up. 53. But you know what? He needs that CS. Strong invade coming in here. Look at that. Double 7X just having to retreat, honestly. But Shin himself, 2 damage works its wonders, cutting through all that HP, or rather, all the defenses he has. But 5v4, well, actually it was more 4-on-4. Lloyd wasn't yet committed to that fight, still holding the mid lane. Hanoi for Lewis, especially Shin, just flexing his muscles right there, throwing himself into the crowd of BKT members and not being phased whatsoever.
That's right. So I guess the one thing that you can take away at the end of this game is, no matter what the result is that Bangkok Titans seems that they are not that apt with the lane swap situation as of yet. And you have to remember, they were the ones
who initiated
the lane swap, and Hanoi for Lewis had the better response to that. But that being said, though, they are slowly catching themselves back into the game. 3,000 separating these two teams right now at the 22-minute mark.
Alrighty, so it looks like King of War is back on split push duty, as he's been for quite a majority of the game. And Hanoi for Lewis, they honestly don't need to rush too much. Interesting build that Violet has opted to go for. The Last Whisper on top of the Sorcerer Boots. Looks like he just wants to hit, both the magic as well as the armor penetration. Not too sure I fully agree with that, given how the armor items are very, very slow to come out on the side of BKT. In fact, the Randuin's, not even close to being completed, and that's just one item. And especially with the nerfs to Jarvan's flag, I'm not sure if that's completely necessary. Might be one of the reasons why, honestly, the dives haven't been working so well for Corki, because oftentimes we see Corkis that are very far ahead, you go for that Bloodthirster, and then you're able to actually have that Blood Shield to tank quite a bit for you. 23-minute Baron, though. They're all trapped in the pit. This would be the swinging point if BKT can get this.
Yeah, that's right. They are going to try to collapse down on the back end. Double 7X finds himself in a very bad position. He is going to go down. The jungler is now down. So Hanoi for Lewis chooses to go for the safer option here. Does not commit to the Baron call, but will pick up double 7X in the process here. A 4v5 battle here. She taken down to about half of his HP. He has to be relatively careful here. King of War looking to flank from the side. G4 still sticking around in the lane though. BKT are not around the area to defend this turret. Only G4 and Lloyd are in the vicinity, and it looks like Hanoi for Lewis has decided to give up with the chase as well.
Alright, and it looks like SOFM1 has just picked up Warmogs, so the front line of Hanoi for Lewis is starting to look very, very beefy indeed, and that is going to be a big problem. Sivir, especially in the mid game, really more renowned for that utility she brings to the team, and not so much exploding somebody like maybe a Caitlyn or Jinx can do on 2 items. This is going to be a big problem. G4 himself on RE, not doing too well this game. 0, 2, and 4. Still chasing after that second core item, that Rabadon's Death Cap.
Oh, there we go.
Now it's been completed, so that's a bit more damage, or a lot more damage coming his way. But overall, Hanoi for Lewis is just overpowering BKT by rushing into them with the Maokai as well as Pantheon. And BKT just isn't able to answer back with enough damage to scare those 2 beefy guys away.
Might have been a impatient moment there for some of the members from Hanoi for Lewis. They actually saw Lloyd looking around the area. Was trying to go for it with the Scuttlecrack buff right there, but right now they have actually secured vision around the area, but it is also going to be BKT. They know for a fact on the hunt being popped right here. Shin might be looking to collapse down to Warlock. He gets locked in straight on the back, and Solar Flare's going to zone Valen and double 7X away, and Warlock still staying alive, but not for long. He's going to go down to Violet, as Cataclysm now only catches SOFM out of position. Lloyd on the back end though might find himself in a lot of trouble. Valent's gonna get broken down here, as it is gonna be Starfall chasing down onto G4. 2 members have already fallen on the side of the Titans, and will for Lewis choose to commit. They are still gonna continue to do the Baron right here. Might be a mistake though.
Yeah,
but
they're really low.
Yeah, they are really, really low here. And it looks like Bangkok Titans are now coming back into the pit. G4 getting done, and gets melted down 100-0 by King of War right there. Lack of vision is definitely pushing the Titans to the limit here. Double 7X looking for the heroic moment.
What?
No, not quite yet. It's going to be Pantheon that picks that one up with the smite, and he's going to pay for his life as well. And Lloyd in a lot of trouble. It's going to get taken down yet once again, and Violet picks up the shutdown.
Honestly, I felt that W1D3 was way too scared. I'm not sure if his flag was on cooldown. I mean, you saw him drop the flag and then immediately go in. But, you know, your flag gives you vision. And they had just used the blue orb to get vision of them. 3,000 HP on the Baron left, with members below, you know, about 30% HP on 4 members of Hanoi for Lewis. That's the perfect chance for you to actually go in there and steal it. Or, you know, even going in there a little bit early to drop a bit of damage when people are so low and you're relatively healthy is a high percentage play. But he waited so long to actually get into the pit. Too late for the steal. Baron goes over. The Dragon will go over to BKT as well. So a point which could have been, you know, I felt the tilting moment for BKT right there. Honestly, especially with this Dragon going down, I feel like it might be the nail in the coffin for BKT.
Yep, that's right. It is a 7,000 goal lead in the favor of Hanoi Fluids at this point. And not only the goal lead, you have to just look at the overall grand scheme of things. Starfall is level 11 as compared to Valor, who's level 9.
Man.
So that gives a big indicator of how the lane swap has actually hurt BKT instead of benefiting themselves. And if you look at Warlock, nowhere close to having that carrying potential on this Irelia pick right now. Trinity Force is available for him, but that's about it.
Yep, interesting item choice once again from Violet. Going for the Blade of the Ruined King. That one I do agree a bit more than the second item, Last Whisper, just due to the fact that really if it's going to be a Jarvan in your face and Irelia, you know, you can just kite away from them, or you can just use the active and burst them down immediately. I mean, even if something like an Ahri, you know, uses her Spirit Rush towards you, you can immediately chunk her out.
Okay, we go now. They are going to try to zero in on SOFM, but it is a Baron up score, sorry, on the side of Hanoi for Lewis. It's going to be a endless siege coming through with Violet leading the charge, of course. 8, 2, and 5 on this Corky pick. A lot of damage stacked up on his end, so they are going to finish this one off, no problems whatsoever. And it's only going to be King of War waiting to join the flanks again. He does have his TP up in case Hanoi for Lewis chooses to go for an all-in fight against Bangkok Titans.
Alright, so with the Baron buff almost about done, Hanoi for Lewis honestly didn't secure too much. I felt like it was more just a power play, get the Dragon, get the tier 2, but it's more of a morale thing. Again, I just have to point out how close that was, the swinging. You know, if W1D3 had just gotten that steal or gotten into the pit a little bit earlier, that would have been not only a huge, you know, just black and white gold value, Baron value for you, but morale for BKT as well. I mean, they're not playing like they're defeated just yet, but you know, you can start to see the cracks. They're not quite as well organized in T-fights as we've seen them in the past. A lot of members are still getting caught out like W1D3. And it just looks like the aggression coming out from this composition that Hanoi for Lewis has put together has rattled BKT pretty much throughout this entire game, I would say.
Yeah, that's right. And let's see what else Hanoi for Lewis can try to do in order to close this one out. They have to do this one out. They have to do this quite quickly because they still have to respect the carry potential of Irelia. Should she, you know, get time to farm up, get time to get access to those items. So I think that's what they realized, and they're doing exactly just that, wasting no time whatsoever. So it took a time to regroup, but have finally taken out the second tier mid turret, of course, as W1D3 going to wrap around the corner now. And it looks like the next area of focus for Hanoi for Lewis will be up in the top lane.
Yep, just standard stick as 5, push together since we're stronger. Kind of strategy coming out from Hanoi for Lewis. Really, they've put together not only their team composition very well, but their items. I mean, I love the Warmog's second item, or even you could say first item after the Warrior enchantment coming out from Pantheon, because they know that he's going to be kind of that dive buddy along with Maokai, just drawing so much attention. Or you can see right here, actually was channeling his ulti, thinking about diving, but then his team was like, hey, you know how we lost those 2 fights? Diving, bro! Don't do that!
Don't do it! I know your heart says yes, but don't do it.
Okay, so BKT managed to hold on for a little bit longer.
It's a 10,000 goal lead though, separating.
Yeah, I mean, really the only way I can see BKT really having a shot at this is that 6 item Sivir, you know, where the 6 item Sivir outscales the Corki, and then the auto attack machines of Sivir on 6 items just becomes insane. even the bounces start just ripping apart, you know, the entire Hanoi Full Lewis squad. But I mean, that's a long shot. Again, G4 is kind of the picture of, you know, kind of the benchmark for BKT, you could say, that really displays how far behind they are. I mean, at this point in time, 32 minutes in, Ari is not fulfilling her assassination role, and neither can she quite fulfill that sustained damage role as well, because she's just getting exploded so fast. That's why she needs the Negatron cloak, which means that the damage department suffers, right? So this is really quite a struggle for BKT right now.
And the thing about BKT as well is that while we have been saying that Lloyd and Warlock does quite well for themselves, but the general trend is if G4 does well, BKT does well. He's kind of the guy to watch out for. He's kind of the main pillar of the team. That's why he's in the mid lane.
Makes sense, man. Makes absolute sense. I mean, we've seen teams like Unfa Ultimate, you know, ban, you know, 3 straight champs at G4.
Oh, man.
Worked fantastically for them in game number 1, and then they're like, Cassiopeia, never again.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous Cassiopeia play.
Well, at least, you know, Hanoi Full Lewis had a very good understanding of
they watched that game and they're like,
nope.
No.
No way whatsoever.
Yeah.
We're not going to deal with that. As both teams are setting up, vision around the dragon area,
so
7X getting chunked down.
For our viewers who have gotten, you know, a little bit droopy-eyed at kind of all the posturing that's been going on, 4th dragon, folks, already having been taken by Hanoi Full Lewis, meaning if they get this one, it is that 5th buff. And looks like they're pulling the trigger. They want to kill them before they go for the dragon.
That's why King of War picks up the kill onto G4. Grand Skyfall going to come into play as well, but that was the pick that they needed. So they will go ahead, rotate over to the dragon area. There is no mid laner for Bangkok Titans to work with right now. As it's only going to be SOFM around the area. It looks like they are going to jump onto double 7X instead. So going to let SOFM, of course, with his warm-ups, take his time, take his own merry time to finish the dragon while zone off the rest.
Team, please.
Team, where's my backup?
I mean, the team fight in which Hanoi Full Lewis, you know, activated their aggression just made it look so easy. Shin flashes in, gets the root down on somebody. All the follow-up CC comes in from Starfall as well as SOFM. And, you know, if the CC chain doesn't kill you, then the LeBlanc with the double distortion would have caught up by then. And hey, look, in the past, the pattern was, let's go Baron, then get Dragon. Now it's like, let's get 5th Dragon, and then let's go Baron. Oh my goodness. Ridiculous.
Lloyd on the wrong end of the map there, and it is going to be the 2nd Baron of the game. Going over to Hanoi Full Lewis as well. And again, you know, King of War was the one who enabled the play right there. If you look at what happened in the last place, well, Shin's going to try to
G4.
Go down onto G4 here. Will there be enough damage? Yes, there is going to be. Double 7X getting zoned in here. She's going to be the one to get the kill.
How can you even ask the question? Is there going to be enough damage?
I don't know. Sometimes, you
with the 5th dragon buff and Baron.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, this might be the finishing touches to the game right here as Hanoi Full Lewis, like you mentioned, plenty of buffs, plenty of
Too many buffs.
Yeah, too many buffs. The gains, man, for Hanoi Full Lewis is just great at this point of time. All 5 members still alive. They are going to finish off the game with a grand Skyfall and the grand victory for them as well. They are going to try to go in up the Lloyd here. He is going to go down. King of War is now unstoppable. Fantastic first game on his LeBlanc here as Hanoi Full Lewis is going to close out the game at the 35-minute mark, 23-9.
My, what a group stage we have on our hands. We've seen the Mighty look so good, so solid, and then I want to say the bad, because again, this is the top 8, so they're supposed to be good, or they are good to have made it this far. But look at the score line, 23-9. We were looking at 10k, you know, 15k gold leads. This is crazy. The competition has really stepped up, and they're, you know, I said, game number 1 of day 1, I said, BKT and Unfall Ultimate, the standard bearers, you know, they're looking so good from group stage 1. And it looks like the other teams are like, nah, Flavors, you know, we've got something to say about this. What's standard bearers? You know, they take them down in a convincing fashion, and